Come dance with me. Nita, it's Friday. Good to see you, Star. It's the weekend, yay! Okay, hi everybody, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And today we're talking about addictions. And addictions are actually one of my favorite subjects. Thank you for the love, and I'll tell you why. Because, oh, and Michael's headed home. That's awesome. Michael has been overseas and deployed, and I know Star's very happy about that. Oh, that's awesome. I'm very happy. So let's just talk about what addictions could be. And, you know, I'd love to hear from you if you have any issues with something that you're addicted to or that you've been addicted to or you'd like to shake the habit from. And hello, Bilal. I am wonderful. Thank you. So just to start and give you a little bit of background. When we are born, we are totally dependent on our mothers. Our mothers feed us, they cuddle us, they hold us, hopefully. They change our diaper and they burp us. They give us the love that we need. And we are totally dependent or codependent. And so truly, all humans start with an addiction to a person. And why is that? It's because it's to help us thrive. We need to have somebody when we're born, unlike some of the wild animals that are born and come out walking. Humans don't do that. So we need to have a mother to cuddle us, love us, feed us. And so an addiction is supposed to heal over time. We're supposed to be weaned from that addiction, be given enough love so that we love ourselves. But that usually doesn't happen, and instead, most of us have issues with self-love. Most of us have issues with self-esteem. And so what we tend to do is we reject ourselves, we say bad things, nasty things, we hurt ourselves with our thoughts and the way we feel about ourselves, and therefore beating ourselves up. You know, the old, I love this magnifying glass. Hello, kitty cat. Chloe, we highlight all our negative traits, right? And so we get to this place where we're filled with self-hatred. And what is that? Well, that's a rejection of the self. So when we hate ourselves, when we beat ourselves up, we reject who we are. And it's the exact opposite of what the universe and God intended. We are to love this gift. We are a gift. We're also the receiver. So there are lots of addictions I want to just talk about. Does anybody know of an addiction, possible addiction? Because there are very many. It could be an addiction to smoking cigarettes. Could be an addiction to alcohol, pot. And I know that here we are in the United States and so many other places are going to start legalizing. A lot of places have already. But you can also have a dependency on pot and painkillers and so many other things. I went through the gamut of alcohol. I saw how I couldn't stop drinking this was when I was in my 20s. And then tried a few other things, and I found, you know, some drugs that were very alluring and seductive, and I went, uh-oh, I best not do these because this isn't good for me. I can see myself becoming addicted. And then, so what happened was I would heal one addiction and it would cascade into another. Has anyone had that experience? This is Chloe. Chloe is saying hello. Hello, sweetheart. And that's what happened. So I quit drinking, I quit drugs, and then I turned to shopping. And until I healed that piece of me and came to a place of self-acceptance of me, the way I am, then I had an addiction to work, addiction to relationships, and I would jump from one relationship to another. So I'd love to hear from you. Does anybody else, have you had these experiences? What have your experiences been? I'd love to hear from you. So when we, and what is codependency? I'll just talk about that for a minute. So codependency is when it's when we have to be in a relationship to feel whole, loved, or accepted. And so we look outside of ourselves. Food addictions, absolutely. Yes, ice cream, chocolate, sugary stuff, cookies. And what about coffee? That's another one. That's a big one. I think most people today are addicted to coffee or caffeine. It could be Red Bulls or something like that. Okay, so that is what happens, is that as you give up alcohol and you give up Mountain Dew and cigarettes, okay, or potato chips, and I know lots of people, when they get upset, they turn to whatever it is, their go-to thing. Some people get upset and they go, oh, well, they have to go smoke pot, or they have to go have a beer, or, you know, as my daughter and I, when we this was quite a few years ago, she'd call me up and say one of her brothers had really ticked her off. Mom, buy me some ice cream, please, because I'm upset. So she knew at an early age that when she ate ice cream, what did it do? It suppressed the emotion. So oftentimes what we're doing is we're managing our emotions with food or substances. You can also manage your emotions with sex. There's another addiction for you. So we as humans have plenty of them. Okay, so one of the things that I want to talk about is that when we reach for a substance, and it really doesn't matter if it's alcohol, if it's pot, if it's a sugary cookie or ice cream, but whatever it is that we're reaching for at that moment, that we're maybe in emotional crisis, what does it do? So it actually disconnects us from ourselves. It is suppressing the truth of who we are, and we're trying to cover up what we're really actually feeling, and voila, what happens? We get depressed. Anybody depressed here? Has anybody had issues with depression? Because when we stuff the emotions that are meant to naturally flow through us, we get depressed. And some people get anxious as well. But there's another thing I want to talk about. So I'm going to get really close here. So for the longest time, I attracted men who were alcoholics, and there's a lot of reasons why we do that. We have a tendency to attract, you know, perhaps someone who represented a parent to us, and when we do that, you know, it's an unconscious thing that happens. But what I want to talk to you about with alcoholism is that if you've ever watched someone when they begin to drink, they're there for you when they're sober. But when they start to drink, they become, does anybody have a clue what happens? You know, in the movie Sherlock Holmes, they talk about it, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Another persona shows up and takes over, and the real person, the high self, disappears. They might even become invisible. Have you ever had that experience where you're watching someone and they sort of disappear before your eyes? So that is the offshoot or the ramifications of a substance that you take to suppress what you're feeling. And it's not good, it's not healthy, because when we constantly suppress what's coming up, that's when, you know, we get into real serious trouble with panic attacks and like I said, serious depression. And it happened for me. And I was well into my late 40s before I think I realized I had chronic depression. And it was from all those different things that I used. I used shopping to suppress emotions. I would go shopping so I'd feel better. And then I'd have this big debt, credit card to pay off. So there's usually a ramification of an addiction. And I'm just going to define. So what exactly is an addiction? Hello, Jennifer. I haven't seen you in ages. So nice to see you. Beautiful lady. So the definition of an addiction is something that we do habitually. What do you do habitually? Do you get up every morning and make coffee? I do. I do. I love my coffee. And what happens when you don't have it? Do you feel grumpy? Do you feel headachy? Do you feel like you can't wake up without it? So if we do something on a daily basis, and it could only be 1 beer a night, you have an addiction. Okay, so how do we heal it? We've got to love ourselves. We've got to have this loving acceptance of ourselves instead of beating ourselves up. And I have a couple of little things to share. Besides self-love, we have to forgive ourselves too. We've had all these things happen in the past, and many people, because I know I did it for a long time, we focus on what happened back there. Oh my goodness, why did I do that? Why did I marry that person? Why did I date that person? Why did I have that baby? Whatever it is, there are lots of things people regret. But when we're living in the past, we're not focused on what is before us, which is our beautiful gift, and that's the present. So let's just take a deep breath here, everybody. All of you watching, take a deep breath. Now, did you feel that? It's grounding. When we breathe deeply, it grounds us in our bodies. And the other thing I want to mention about addictions, that when we don't feel comfortable in our skin, it could be for a lot of different reasons. Maybe you had trauma in your childhood, sexual molestation. Maybe you were raped. And after any kind of trauma, if the energy isn't released, then you could feel like you're trying to run away even from yourself. And all of these substances are an effort to run away. And what happens when we try to run away? Things get worse. So we have got to stay present with this body, stay grounded and breathing, and allow the emotions to come up and move up and out. Because what we're trying to do is fight City Hall. And you know, watching Stephen Colbert or any of the other political shows on television these days, we can't fight City Hall, right? We just have to let it all play out. But trying to fight with what is going to make you feel really uncomfortable and unhappy. So the truth is, and I'm going to give you a 3-step process. Be present with what is happening. Accept yourself as you are, and forgive yourself and everybody else, but yourself first, for everything that happened in the past, everything that you've done to other people, everything that you've allowed others to do to you. Forgive yourself, and then forgive others. So I'm going to leave you with this quick little prayer, and I've used it before. It's on my blog, it's on my website. And in case you're wondering, I'm Jennifer Elizabeth Masters. My website is jenniferelizabethmasters.com. I'm a soul sculptor. I help you break out of the mold from the past, from that stuff that you're trying to avoid. And I help you live in the present, a happy, magical life. Okay, so breathe into the present, forgive yourself and everyone else. And we're going to do that right now. And we're going to talk to our inner child. So just kind of close your eyes and address your little inner child. You know, for about that age of 3 or 4 is typically where we're imprinted with trauma. So just close your eyes and talk to your inner child. You're going to look her in the eyes or look him in the eyes. Close your eyes. I see you cheating. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Take a deep breath. Exhale. One more time. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And the way to cure addictions is by loving and accepting yourself as you are. And this is what I help you do. So if you would like more information, you can find it on my website or send me an email at jenniferelizabethmasters@gmail.com. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for watching. I love you.